Good afternoon. My name is Amin. And as you will see, my presentation is about the network automation infrastructure to automate some configuration of your infrastructure devices like routers, switches, firewalls, or whatever it is. So specifically, I am talking about the REST API and REST Conf with MikroTik and Cisco product lines. But for the demo part, I will use Cisco in my presentation. And so today I want to talk about something that I think many of us, most of us will deal with every week. And the point is, each time, for example, you want to manage your routers, switches, your infrastructure devices, you make an SSH to devices box by box in order to configure their initial configurations, as well as maybe to pull some informations, copy and paste some configurations and hope nothing breaks. So I want to say there is a better way to do it, and we already have that tools to do it. But first of all, I want to clear make one thing clear, and that's it. It's about this presentation is not about the vendor specifically about the specific vendor or something like that. I don't want to say which vendor is better than other. I just want to say, for example, with MikroTik product lines, which you may know, it's a popular vendor for the ISPs, IXPs, and some kind of companies as well. These days, even in Europe or other continents or other countries as well. MikroTik introduced REST API from RootREST version 7.1, beta version 4, and it also supports HTTPS, HTTP protocol, and JSON as well. And by knowing this, we can use, we have already, if we buy MikroTik devices, we have already a tools to automate our configuration. We just need a certificate in order to enable that certificate on our MikroTik product lines. And then without any SSH, touching any command line with our devices, we can fully automate MikroTik devices as well. Also, on the other hand, Cisco ISXE, which and these are familiar for enterprise and career grade companies, large scale companies. These are supporting by default naturally REST Conf, and we only need to enable REST Conf within the global configuration mode in Cisco ISXE, as you may know. And again, Cisco also supports HTTP, JSON, and the Yang data models as well. I'm putting these two vendors in my slides in order to say about an important and let's say note, which is on the right side of my slide. And the truth is both of them uses the same protocols like HTTP protocol, JSON, and to automate these devices, we may want to use a specific tools like a Postman or, I don't know, Python programming language, just as an example. So if we, for example, want to automate these two vendors at the same time with the same Python code, we only need the same libraries, Python libraries. So there is not a big difference between them, and the goal is same, the automation. And the only difference between these two is the URL path and the JSON keys. Let me ask a few questions. How many of you during the past weeks try to connect to at least 10 or more than 10 routers at the same time in the past weeks in order to configure them? Many of us maybe, for example, connect to different routers just in order to show something, to print something, in order to check the interface status, maybe the BGP peer connection, or configure BGP or something like that, which is time consuming. And sometimes we may break something during a mass configuration. And another question is, how many of you manually provisioning a BGP peer as an IXP or ISP during the past days? So you know that if we want to do this process, we have to at least make an SSH to each devices. Am I correct? But by this REST API or RESTconf with Cisco products, we don't need to make even SSH to our devices. And the important point is we don't have any audit trail. We don't have any rollback process on those situations that we make manual changes on box by box on devices. Just as an example, if most of us know, if we want to update NTP configuration on our devices or configuring NTP on our devices, it is a short command, am I right? But how it will be a disaster and nightmare for us as a network engineer if we have multiple devices, more than 10, 20, maybe 400 different routers. Then it will be a nightmare for us, am I right? By the end of this presentation, we will see that a script will do all of these with less than 10 seconds, or maybe a few seconds. In this slide, you will see on the left side, we have a Python code, Python script for MikroTik, and on the other side of the slide, we will see a code block for Cisco IOS XE, which uses RESTconf, that's about the RFC 8040. I want to notice something. If you compare the first part of these code blocks, which both of them use get method in order to just pull some information. Am I correct? For example, with MikroTik, we use /rest/routing BGP and session in RootOS version 7. In RootOS version 6, you will use routing BGP and peer. Am I correct? If you remember, if you work with RootOS version 6. But with the Cisco side, the URL path is the difference between these two, and that one should be RESTconf data and then Cisco IS, XE, BGP, and etc. So there is not a big difference. But what about the middle of this code block? At the middle of this code block, both of them use put in order to push some configuration in their devices. And as you will see with MikroTik, you will use a flat JSON structure, and with the Cisco side, you will use Yang structure and nested object. Am I correct? But the only difference here is the payload, and nothing than that. And the last part of the code, just as an example to push an NTP configuration, we have post with MikroTik in order to push some configuration, and patch just in order to, for Cisco, in order to configure our NTP configuration in our Cisco as well. For the lab, at first I decided to be honest, I decided to show this lab live because I have a NG installed on the GCP free tier account with 4 CSR 1000V, and which uses IOS XE version 17 and RESTconf enabled as well, with the Ubuntu Linux machine in order to use a web-based VS Code in order to do these 3 different Python codes there. But by the way, from the last night, I can't find enough resources in order to turn on my machine, virtual machine, VM instance on the GCP cloud. So I will show this demo as a video. So we want to do 3 things. First of all, pull some information from our IXP fabric and IXP, for example, peers, IXP fabric, and the second step, we will provision a BGP peer, IXP peer, by configuring BGP configuration on the root server of the IXP. The IXP members already has the BGP configuration, and by the last step, we will do mass NTP configuration. Instead of one by one, box by box, we will push some configuration to, just imagine 400 or 4,000 routers at the same time. But here we have only 4 routers. So just for a quick note, let me show you this. This is a lab, the topology of this presentation. At the middle, you will see a route server, which connect to the IXP fabric with 2 IXP members, which is very simple scenario. And at the top we have a Ubuntu machine which uses a VS Code in order to configure and push some information. These two IXP members at the bottom of the picture, they have already a BGP configuration. So without further ado, let me play this video. So I will use a VS Code as a browser, and then I will continue. Just let me go further, just in order to confirm, to verify that we don't have any BGP configuration yet. I just double check the IP address, the interface status of the devices, and then confirm that we don't have any NTP configuration on different routers. So let me just skip and see again. We don't have any. We have a BGP on IXP members, but we shouldn't have any NTP configuration there. Let me move forward. The story begins from here. We have 3 files: demo 01, demo 02.1, and then demo 03. These 3 Python code files. So at first, we shouldn't see BGP connection, any BGP peer. Okay, so these are 3 files, demo files, and then I ran the first file, Python file, and as you will see, it shows us, it's pulled some information, for example, the status of the interfaces of the root server, and for example, the IP addresses of them, and it says, it's told us that there is no BGP neighbor relationship yet. So the first demo file is completed successfully. Then we will move forward to test, and also it shows us some information, some other information like a system, like a host name of a router itself. And as you will see, somebody authenticated with these devices, with this Cisco IS exit device. But the point is, before that, I enabled that RESTconf on each of those routers. So after that, we will continue with the second file, which try to check at first if there is any BGP neighbor relationship, and if there is not, then it's automatically configured that BGP inside the root server, and as you will see, then it shows us a neighbor relationship with the BGP peers comes up. And now we have a BGP configuration and 2 BGP neighbors as well, which fully automated by the Python and the RESTconf. So let me move forward. Right now we don't have any NTP, am I correct? So now imagine you want to push a mass NTP configuration to all the fabric or all of the devices. And now you will see this code first check if any of these nodes has a NTP configuration from before or not, and then it will push the NTP configuration successfully. And as you will see, the message that you will receive inside each of those routers shows us that somebody configured an NTP and we successfully have an NTP configuration yet. So that's about the demo and the lab. And if I move forward just in order to talk about the takeaway from this presentation, the first thing is when we use the API, and if we have MikroTik and Cisco or each of them in our network, in our maybe data center and infrastructure, the only difference is the API path. MikroTik uses /REST, Cisco ISXE use RESTconf/data. So if you learn the pattern and that skills, then we can move that skills to other vendors. Only skill will transfer. Only our knowledge will transfer. Nothing more than that. And also, Yang is an open standard. Am I correct? Maybe you learn how to work with the RESTconf and Yang, and then you are able to automate your Cisco devices, maybe your Juniper devices, Nokia devices, and more. Because all of them use the same language. And most of the time, we should start with the small configuration, test this configuration, and then it will scale up. Just imagine you want to configure OSPF between at least 80 different routers. Then it will be you just need to scale it up, those Python files, in order to configure more than 4 different devices, 4 different routers. And the knowledge over tooling, Ansible, NetMiko, past many years ago, some engineers, for example, may use a TCL/SH on Cisco IS devices to automate their task. But these days, Ansible, NetMiko, RESTconf, REST API, all of these, all tools. So HTTP, JSON, and Yang make this effective on any platform and any vendor. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there any questions? No? I also ran out of questions for today, and my quota is over.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you.